good afternoon, and welcome to our discussion on childhood scars. We're going to discuss how childhood scars originated. I want to answer a lot of your questions, so please pour your questions in to me today, and let's get some of your questions answered. I am Dr. Sandra Robertson. I am your author of the book, Childhood Scars, Release from Pain to Healing. A little bit about my background. I am a doctor of philosophy and education. The whole purpose of writing this book on childhood scars is because I discovered later in life that I had some hidden trauma that I really and truly did not understand exactly what was going on with me. And through the exploration of writing this book, I decided that I learned a lot. And I felt that it was enough information to share to everyone. Because a lot of us have hidden scars, and we are trying to be in relationships. We're trying to raise children. We're trying to be employees on the jobs and employers. And so we need to really go deep and do a deep self-introspection and really find out the challenges and where the origination of the scars, so that we can be better people as we communicate with others and as well as we live and communicate with ourselves. So I'm going to be doing a lot of the Facebook Live. I do have counseling sessions that you can, if you need counseling, I do have counseling sessions, and my clients, they just really have a lot of inner wounds that need to be healed. And so this is the purpose of the Facebook Live. So please ask your questions. I'll be happy to answer any of them. But this is the purpose of the book. Now, the book actually comes along with the workbook and book. The book actually gives you a lot of information to start the transformational process. And the workbook helps in the healing process. So you really need both books together. You need the book to really learn about trauma. You're going to be surprised where trauma originated. And I want to talk a little bit about that today. But the workbook is the healing. I remember when writing the book, the pastor at my church, he said to me, Pastor Kevin, he said, "You did a phenomenal job in giving us content." He said, "But how do we heal from all of the content that you gave?" And so I said, okay, and I decided to write a workbook. And this workbook really has a lot of mindful exercises. It talks about just a little bit. I am an educator. I'm a retired college professor, so I do tend to really, really dive deep into my message and what I'm trying to communicate. But in the chapter, it talks about the chapter overview from the book. And then it gives you a lot of different exercises for you to do to help you in the healing process. I'm not trying to take away from any counselors, because some of the childhood scars originated and have deep wounds. This healing is going to be, and I don't want to say where I actually have, where we actually categorize healing, because everyone heals at their own time and their own pace. But here with this book here, it actually have you answer some questions. Some people say, well, there's a lot of information, but it actually helps you answer some questions. It gives you different mindfulness exercises so that you can kind of just really relax within yourself and explore yourself and ask yourself some inner questions about how you feel, what's going on in your life. I know I gave you a lot of exercises that you can do. I know yoga really helped me a lot. Yoga helped me a lot because it helped me get in tune with my body. And as I began to get in tune with my body, I began to start relaxing and start really healing my body. And so you may say, well, where was some of your healing? From childhood. From childhood, I had a lot of childhood challenges. And so here you even have where you note-taking, where you can write it down. The mindfulness exercises, I mean, we really have some real good mindfulness exercises in this book, and also some different relaxation techniques. So in each chapter you have, in the book, you have a mindfulness exercise to do. And so myself, like with my son, when I got married, I got married. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm just now ready in my 60s to be a wife, and I was a wife for 43 years. So I'm just now ready to be a wife. Why is that? It's because I suppressed so much of my inner wound, and I did not heal. So now I'm still in the healing process. Because life evolves, and you're going to always have some challenges, and through the challenges, we digest that as trauma. And so now you learn how to manage trauma. Now you learn how to understand yourself more. Now a lot of people email me and say, Dr. Robertson, I can really now, I didn't have trauma in childhood, but now I can understand my employees better now, because my employees, when they go off and things of that nature, I'm not so quick to fire them. I'm quick to try to see what I can do to help. I've sold so many books to different companies because a lot of people, now a lot of employers are saying, I can't afford to fire everyone. So now I have to help them so that I can retain some of my employees, because a lot of people just go off, especially when they're feeling stressed and they don't know how to deal with it. So they just go off. Why? Because it's suppressed anger that originated in childhood. So let's talk a little bit about where the scar origination. Some people may differ. Again, this is from my perspective and my research. The scars originated in the mother's womb, a lot of them, most of them. As the mother was experiencing trauma, you're in the womb, so you are experiencing trauma as well. You're experiencing the mother's trauma. It's no way you cannot. And so sometimes as we become adults, we go, why am I acting this way? It's because of the trauma that you endured early in childhood. And so because you had to suppress it, because you couldn't control it, you didn't really understand why the behavior was the way it is, then what happened? You wind up carrying on into adulthood and into different relationships. So I see a lot of you all online now. Let me see if I have any questions before, let's see. Okay, I see a lot of people watching. But ask me your questions and I'll be happy to answer it. So that's why I actually started writing. I wrote this book. The book is lengthy. I had decided that I was only going to write about 10 chapters. But if you're an author, you're going to notice that the book evolves into what it wants it to be communicated. And a lot of times it takes longer. And so just kind of going over some of the chapters, and then I can kind of give a little information on the chapters, and you can ask your questions like the causes of childhood scars, of certain childhood scars. The causes of certain childhood scars is going to be dependent on the mother and what trauma she endured during that time. And I'm not trying to say that every woman that has a child passed on different scars. I'm definitely not trying to say that. But when you experience trauma and you're pregnant, and when I say trauma, how you respond to the challenge that you experience is called trauma, because it does what? It interrupts your normal, and it makes you react to something that is abnormal, and so therefore we call it trauma. And that's my definition. And so here in the book, it talks about the causes of certain childhood scars. I don't have a generic definition of a childhood scar that is going to be applicable to everyone. But I do have where I can tell you the origination, and it's going to be based on the mother and how she responds to the life challenges, which we call trauma. Again, trauma is an interruption of your normal, and it causes you to react in a certain way because this is not a normal behavior that you have experienced in life or that you're comfortable with. And then the next chapter talks about childhood scars' effect on planned and unplanned pregnancy. Again, whether it's planned or unplanned pregnancy, you still can experience trauma or childhood scar origination. Again, it's going to be the way you react to trauma and how you react to the interruption in your normal. And I talk a lot about that. I talk a lot about in this here particular chapter about how when we get pregnant for someone, we assume, let's just say in the dating process and you have sexual relationship and you have an unexpected pregnancy, and then all of a sudden the guy doesn't want to have anything to do with you. I did cover it in the book, because if the man has not bonded with you, and it's just a sexual encounter, he's not, 2 to 1, he's not going to bond with the child. Men bond according to their relationship with the mother. Now, we do have some men now that are not like that. I'm saying the younger generation is taking a little bit more of an active approach to being a parent. Back in my day, men just pretty much, a lot of them, and I'm generalizing, men just pretty much just walked away from the responsibility because they wasn't ready for the responsibility. I am seeing in this younger generation, my son's age, the Gen Ys and the Zs, they are being a little bit more proactive in regards to unplanned pregnancies. But even in a planned pregnancy, it's so much that your body is going through that you, again, it's not your normal. So you're going to equate that to what? Trauma. So a traumatic event is something that interrupts your normal process and how you respond to it. And then we actually talked about the emotional impact of trauma on the pregnant mother. I covered that in this book as well. And then the childhood scars, early brain development, and how it actually, these scars affect the brain. You can be functional, but still in the conscious and unconscious mind, you are processing something that you really don't understand why this behavior is happening. So I cover a lot in that. Parentification, I can tell you right now, talks a lot about how, and this definitely resonated with me a lot. Being the oldest child, I became the caretaker of my 5 siblings. And we were like little stair steppers, where here it is, I'm just going to say, I'm 8, my brother is 7, my sister is 5, my other sister is 2. This stair stepper, and you're looking at an 8-year-old being the caretaker and a child herself. So I grew up being someone that take care of my siblings, and I found myself, even in adulthood, taking care of my friends and taking care of their children and taking care of their grandchildren, and I took care of the neighborhood kids and so forth and so on. Why? Because I was actually had a mindset of taking care, but then a lot of my needs went unmet, because I was too busy trying to take care of other people's needs. And so here it talks a lot about how parents can have the older child take on the role when that child is not fully developed to be able to be in any parental role. And so what that caused trauma in that child. And also, a lot of children are sexually molested. And one of the reasons why they're sexually molested, okay, a lot of the reasons why, can I get you to do that, please? Can I get you to tell me what questions they answered, because this is so far away and I cannot. My son said you have a lot of questions, so let me finish this and then I'll start answering questions. And so when I want parents to know that when you start having your young child start taking more of a parental role, then this child, especially if it's a girl, she's viewed in other man's eyesight as a woman. They become sexually attracted. Why? Because they see her more in a woman role than in a child's role. Now, this doesn't happen to everyone. Again, I'm generalizing. But it can happen that way. So you have to be very careful. And then resentment can happen amongst the children. Why? Because I want to be out there playing. I want to be taking care of someone, feeding them, giving them a bottle and things of that nature. And all of my friends out there playing. And so you have to take that into consideration. My mother actually whipped me because I called myself whipping my brother. And she said, "You're not a woman, but you just put me in that role." She was gone and I was taking care of my siblings. So you have to be very, 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 very careful. Okay, let me answer some of your questions because we only have 1 hour and I can go on and on. Okay.
First question, well, the easy question was, do you have a workbook to this book?
Yes, I do. Here is the workbook. So how can I get it? 2 ways. You can go on Amazon.com and you can purchase the book. And again, it's Childhood Scars, Release from Pain to Healing. It's the workbook. Or you can contact me at sandrob3@verizon.net. Again, Sand, S-A-N, Rob, R-O-B, the number 3, at verizon.net. If you followed a lot of my postings, it's actually on my business card that I just posted. So you can do it that way. If you email me, you can email me because you want to give me your address. You can cash out me and I can mail you one out today at $Sandra, S-A-N-D-R-A-G, no space, Robertson. And you can cash out me and I can mail. We got a large inventory and I can mail you your book out today. So the workbook, I'm going to be honest with you. The workbook is going to help you in the healing process. The book is going to give you the content information. And I can tell you right now, release from mental imprisonment. I think that's chapter 16. That chapter, I read it regularly, still to this day. So you're going to find both of these books to be very informative, especially if you are dealing with some behavior issues and some scar tissue. When I say scar tissue, childhood scars. Another question?
This was a question for me. I know you have 2 books and working on a 3rd. Why was this one the first book and the reasoning for the order?
Okay, why was this the first book? Because this is the book that God told me to write. I worked along with Ashley, and Ashley really helped me a lot in the cover of the book, and we came up with the title Childhood Scars, Release from Pain to Healing. And because this book really, really, really helped me a whole lot. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I had mentioned to my son Gregory for years that once I finished my doctorate that I was going to write books. And so after I retired, the college faced the pandemic, and the enrollment went down, and we had an option to retire or just be on what they call sabbatical until the numbers come up. And I chose to do the retirement, and I was just really enjoying life because I had finished a doctorate of 9.5 years. And my son said, "Mom, you're walking around with a doctorate degree. What are you going to do with your life?" And he said, "Didn't you say you was going to write books?" And so then I prayed about it, and God gave me this book. And this is the book that I started off with in the healing, and it started the healing process. The next book was relationship. This is just the order that God gave me. When I first started writing down my book selection, it was not these books. And so the next one was relationship, finding your perfect one, getting involved, really finding out who you are so that you can attract who you are. And I'll talk about that at the 5 o'clock session, because your relationship reflects who you are. And so, and then now I'm writing an intimate walk with God. Oh my God. I'm now seeing that the childhood scar, the relationship had to be written for this book, An Intimate Walk with God, to be effective. It was not going to be. I see myself in both books, and this book right here is really a culmination of a lot of the information that I put in both books. I hope I answered your question.
Personally, do you have a lot of childhood scars? Is this book from direct experience or a collection of others' experiences?
This book is from a collection of research. It talks about all of my experiences. I really don't delve real deep. I do give you a synopsis a lot in the book about my childhood wounds. Why? Because I want you to really go along with me and heal as you receiving content. A lot of the information when I was writing, I first started off writing about my experiences and how I felt. Again, this is my perception because I have 5 other siblings, and some of them does not agree with my experience. But this was my experience. This was my interpretation of what I found abuse and trauma to be. And so I said, once I had called my siblings and told them I was writing the book, and they were getting a little upset about their life being displayed. I said, well, you know what? And then I thought about it with my dissertation chair. She said, who cares? So I gave enough information, a little bit about me, especially the parentification and throughout the book. But I gave a lot of information that is applicable to you. So as you're reading the book, you're now in your mind thinking about your childhood wounds, and you're going along with me in the process of gaining knowledge and understanding of why certain things happen and why your behavior. So this is a book where you and I are partnering together and going through the journey together. It's not just all about me.
Good. Look like I'm asking all the questions right now. Who are your main influences in writing this book?
Number one is God. God is who I've cried out to for many years. For many years, it's been God. Just, trying to find out why. Why do I go off the handle so quickly? Why am I easily feeling like attacked? Why do I feel rejected, unappreciative? And through the writing of this book, it's a lot of information. And then I go through all of this here of how I feel. And then in chapter 8 of this book, at the end, God gave me a message that says, now, out of all that you went through, look what you have accomplished. And that's what I want when you read this book, to debunk all of that old junk that happened that you have no control over. None. You can control your childhood. And now that you can control your destiny, you can take a different path. Now look at where we have evolved. We are mothers now. We are employees now. Some of us are entrepreneurs now. Some of us, like myself, have gotten a doctorate degree. Through all of the trauma and all of the challenges that I faced in life, I was able to get the highest degree in the world, a PhD. So look at where you are. And you don't have to have a degree to define who you are, but look at where you've come from. Look at the challenges that you endure, and look at where you are now. And I hear a lot of people say, well, I'm not where I should be. Where should you be? You're right where you're supposed to be at this time, learning, evolving, and growing.
Vetta Hobley said, use the childhood scars in my therapy session, it helps. So she uses this in her therapy session.
This is a very good, thank you, Vetta, for saying that, because a lot of my clients is actually communicating this. They have read the book and they said, you know what, in therapy they let us talk, but in this book right here, it makes you think. And that's why I wrote the book, to help you to think. Not to think about the injustice of the situation, but to re-evaluate it and think about how you overcame the situation. Whether you still have the scars, you survived. You are a survivor. So as long as you relive the situation, you haven't survived it. And that's what I had to learn through this book. I had not survived the childhood scars because I kept living it. I kept reliving it. And I kept attracting people that kept it active. And then one day, God just wiped all of the distractions away. And believe it or not, friends, in 1 year, he took away 8 of my closest friends. And when I say the number, let's see, one was 10 years, and all of the other ones were 20, 30, 40 years, and even 50 years. And I'm like, what are you doing, God? Because they were feeding those inner wounds. And it was time for me to heal. They were helping me to relive those inner wounds. And it was time for me to heal. And in writing this book, I'm going to tell you, it helped me immensely. And then start doing some of the activities in this book right here has helped me a whole lot. And I even went to my son and told my son how much I appreciate him surviving his childhood. Because we can give our children all kind of material gain, but they want attention, they want love, they want to be free from all of our childhood scars, in this book is going to help you debunk a lot of things that, a lot of people hold on to. We are responsible, and I know I had people disagree with me the other day. We are responsible to make sure that we raise healthy children. And the only way you're going to do that is that you have to be healthy. Yes, life is going to affect our children. It affected me. You're going to have some challenges, what they call peer pressure. But if you are one with that child, when peer pressure comes and things of that nature, they're going to come to you, and you can be able to work with them through the challenges that they may be having so that they can live a happy life. Any more?
So you basically just answered it. No, you didn't. She said, other than God, who was your motivation?
My son, Gregory Robertson. I would say my son and my husband, but basically my son, because he made me look at myself in a way that I was not looking at myself. I thought that once I finished my doctorate, I was going to lay down, and I'm going to be honest with you. Can I be transparent? I was so tired of 9.5 years of rigorous writing and having my writing gobbled up and rewriting. And what the doctoral process does is it debunks all those egos, those arrogant egos, because when you go into the doctoral program, you're just thinking, I'm a doctor here one day. And so after that rigorous process, and it's a very challenging process, I just wanted to relax. And so when I got laid off, it was the best thing that happened to me. I was tired. Being a program chair, program head, and all of the major responsibilities of higher education. I was a college professor. I was just tired. So both of the things came in. It was the completion of the doctoral program, and it was like early retirement from the educational program, educational setting. And having my son and I being so close together that he identified a shift in my behavior, and he didn't like it. He was used to seeing a strong woman. He was used to seeing a determined woman, a visionary person, and he seeing me getting out of the bed at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Excuse me. 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and he goes, "Mom, what are you doing with your life?" And I got a little angry on first, and then how dare him ask me that? He said, "Write some books, do something." So I said, "I'm not going to write a book," just because he told me. And I prayed, and I said, it's like God kind of was whipping me at that time. And then I just decided that, I'm going to yield to it. And God just put everybody in my path. Gave me Ashley, gave me Adam, gave me everyone that'll help some too. So just gave me a lot of people that came to me and helped me to get to where I am today, because you're not going to be successful alone. So forget that. Yes, God's leading, but he's going to provide the right people. So I would say the people that I just mentioned really, really, really helped me a lot for these books to come to fruition.
All right, Donna, Miss Sweets Cross said, "I'm getting this for my brother and sister because we are dealing with childhood issues, but also the death of our mother, and I feel it will help us deal with everything."
I'm going to say, even in the book, and I'm getting a little teary-eyed, because that's what we had to do in my family. Even in this book, what I want my family to do, we haven't done that yet, but I'm going to suggest this. If y'all, once you get the books, if you have it like a little group where you do a Zoom session and everyone read a chapter and you discuss the chapter and go in depth, and not only just discuss the chapter, but discuss the activity per chapter, you all going to hear together collectively. I'm going to say this right here. And I did not know, because I'm going to be transparent on this. I did not know, and if I get a little tear out of y'all, just ignore me. But I did not know. I thought my mama was the worst person on the world. I mean, to me, she was extremely abusive. That's to me. All my girlfriends felt that she was the best thing going. But to me, I felt she was extremely abusive. And so this is years later, about maybe five or 6 years, right before I wrote the book. I was talking to my mom's youngest sister, my aunt, on the phone, and I was just talking to her. I just pouring out some things, and she said, "Hold on 1 minute, Sandra." She said, "Everything your mama did to you, my mama did to us. She said, but your mama is only doing what her mama taught her. So my mother was the oldest daughter. So her mom put all of the caretaking responsibilities on her and made her responsible for her siblings. So everything that was done to me was done to my mother. And so it's just from that, just carrying all that, it really just, had I not talked to my aunt and she gave a different perspective, I would have been hating my mother to this day. But it's just like once she told me that, it's like all of the anger and the resentment and the bitterness that I didn't even know that I had deep inside started coming up. And I said, she doesn't hate me after all. And I think I cried for a couple of days knowing that I went a lifetime with her because she's no longer here. I went a lifetime with my mother. And I never knew how to interact with her or really love her because it was so much of hate and animosity. And this woman had a mindset, my mother had a mindset that was created by her mother, probably her mother's mother. And that's why I cover, I think it's chapter 8 or 9, generational, once you get the book, generational scar trauma. Chapter 11, generational scar trauma. That's the main purpose of writing generational scar trauma. Because we have to, I'm going to tell you right now, we have to heal from these generational scars. So what happens here is that I pass it down to my granddaughter. And I'm more intentional with my granddaughter. I have more time, so I'm seeing some things that she does, and I immediately correct it and just talk to her about it. She's only 9 years old. She's still a baby, but I refuse to let another trainer or Watson woman endure the trauma that has been passed down in these both families from scar trauma.
It's a deep one right here. So, do you feel, it's a two-sided question.
Let me answer the first one first. Okay.
All right. So do you feel like emotions are aiding growth or a hindrance?
Emotions, I'm not going to say it's a hindrance. Let me tell you why. Because until you feel something, you don't know that something is wrong. So emotions tell you that it's a behavior that needs to be readjusted. So if you find it a hindrance, you're going to discard it. But if you look at an emotion and you go, and that's what led to this book, the emotion that, I'll give you a quick story here, and I know I can chat too much, but it worked. Here it is, program chair, then reached, this high level in academia, and the secretary, we had so much miscommunication with contractors, and so being like a manager over my department, the VP said, I don't want any of you all talking directly to any contractors. Have them come to me. And she said that in a meeting. And so as the secretary was walking by my office, she must have been really listening to my conversation to know that it was a contract day, and it was. And so she came into my office and immediately started saying, you're not supposed to be talking to the contractor. The contractor's on the other line. She grabs the phone from me out of my hand and say, that Professor Robertson should not be talking to you about this, this, and this. And then me and her went backwards and forward, and he hung up. But what she did not know, that the vice president, because I was over marketing, and she really did, the vice president didn't understand a lot of the marketing, she came to my office and told me that I could talk to contractors. That's what the secretary did not know. So yes, she was wrong for coming in my office and doing what she did, but believe me, the way I ate her up, it was horrible. It was so bad that when I left for the day, and you know how something happens and when you know you really did wrong, it was so bad that one of my co-workers, well, two of them, said, what in the world went on in your office? We could hear you all over the building. Now, no one heard her voice. They just heard mine. And that's when I got in the car and I realized this thing has gone too far, because the things that I said to her, And then when she came back before I left for the day, she wanted to apologize because she went to report me. And the vice president said, no, I did give her permission. So she did come back to apologize. And I laid into her even more. I mean, horrible. And so emotions that is out of control will have an out of control response. You have to be in control every second of the day, because the minute you get out of control, that's going to affect you for the rest of your life until you stay in control. There's some things I couldn't control her coming to my office and grabbing the phone. I could not control that. I could have locked the door, but I didn't know she was going to be coming in. But I could have controlled the way I responded. I could have controlled it by saying to the contractor, can I put you, sir, on hold just for a brief moment, and told her at that moment, look, the vice president did give me permission. Go and talk to her. But I'm on the phone. But I didn't do that. I lashed out at her because I still had some inner scar wounds, and she got all of it that day.
All right, the second half of that question is, can scars be healed, or do they stay with you forever?
They can be healed. And I found that out through writing this book. I'll be honest with you, I didn't think they could. I thought that what they're called the triggers. I thought that triggers would be triggered for the rest of your life. But see, once you can identify with the situation, then you're no longer triggered. That's just like, I cannot stand someone to holler at me. I cannot stand that. Why? Because that's all my mother did. And so now if someone holler at me, I just tune them out. And then once they finish their little sentence or whatever they have to say, I interject and say, is there anything that I can say at this point? And if I see that it's so tenuous, I leave it alone and approach it at another time. But the old Sandra, or Dr. Robertson, would have went into you so bad that the hair on your head would stand up. And my son can attest to that. He says two Sandras. It's Sandra Gale, which is my middle name, and it's Sandra. When I go into Sandra Gale mode, leave her alone. Now, for my child to say that, it had to be real bad. So think about the example that I have left with my son. So now he even say, Mom, you're a different person than I am, because I now can identify with my triggers and I don't let them control me. I control them. And in this book, it's going to help you with triggers and how to get your emotions in check and how to really identify with them so that you won't let them control you. Excuse me.
Donna said, what's the price of the books?
Okay, the price of the books. If you get both books together, that's the book and the workbook, you can get both books for $30. And this book alone is $25, and I think this is about $14, I forgot. But both books together, you can get both books together for $30. Now, if you buy 3 books, then you can get these 2 books for $25 each. So if you buy both of them together, say that if you buy 3 or more, if you got a little group of 3 or more, instead of paying $30, you'll pay $25. And I will, since you're on the call today, I will waive the shipping and handling. I will pay for the shipping and handling. You won't have to worry about it. So you will get all 3 books for 3 books, $25, $25, $75. You don't have to pay for the shipping and handling, and you'll get a huge discount today by being on the Facebook Live. So let me know, cash at me, or just email me at Sandra, not Sandra, but it's sandrob3@verizon.net. SANROB, the number 3@verizon.net. And just let me know. But if you get 3 or more books today, the shipping and handling is waived. And you can get both books for $25. But if you just buy a set, it's $30. And that's discounted as well.
So generally, how long does it take to write a book, and how was the process?
Whew, how long does it take to write a book? No one can answer that question. And let me tell you why. And I know they have people say you can write a book in 30 days, 40 days, whatever. To write a book of meaning and content is going to take a process. Now, this book took me 8 months. The relationship book took me 6 months. And let me tell you why. This is my first book, and it contains so much information and so much research. I just couldn't put something together based on, my experience. I had to give you content where it was relatable so that you could understand why you were going through certain, childhood scars, a certain trauma. And so it's going to be dependent on the content and the message. I tell everyone that you do have to write an outline, although it's going to change. Now, the book that I'm writing, The Intimate Walk with God, I thought that book was going to be out in the end of this month. I rewrote the first 3 chapters, and I'm not even exaggerating, about 12 or 13 times. So for me to tell you that the book is going to be done in 4 months, that's not true. I did not anticipate, because I thought that, okay, I'm doing better with the writing and this, that, and the other. The relationship book was easier for me because it was more relatable. The childhood scars, although that I was experiencing childhood scars, I didn't know where they came from. So I had to research. And so like I said, the relationship book was 6 months. Now, granted, that's just writing. You're still going to need some time to edit. I don't care how well you write. I don't care, doctor, whatever. You're still going to need some time to go back and make sure the book flows. And so that's going to take you about, I would say, 6 weeks to 8 weeks, if you really do a thorough. Most people say, when I read your books, I don't see any typographical error. You shouldn't see any typographical errors, because I really do a really intense editing to make sure that everything is flowing right, make sure. And then I have people that I select, maybe 2 or 3, and just, like yourself, and just have them read the book and tell me how well they liked it and give me some feedback. I started off where I had about 5. Ashley had suggested that. And then it got to be too much. So I kind of limited down to about 2 or 3. And now I'm down to about just 2 only, just to read it and just tell me how I don't need you to do any correction unless it's a typo, but just to give me some feedback on how well you like it. Because the message comes from God, so I'm not going to deter from that. But yes, it's not going to be, the average person will say about a year. I'm going to say about 8 months or longer, dependent on the content, and make sure you do some thorough research so that you are not just going out of your head, that you're giving some information that's going to be received very in a manner that that's complementary to the content that you're trying to write. Did I answer her question?
In writing this book, do you feel like it has made you a better person?
Yes. I didn't even let you finish. It has made me 100% better. How I respond to people. Like last night, for example, I had a lot of people that I had talked about purpose, and they took it out of context and things, and I'm not going to divulge a whole lot just for the privacy of it. But the old me would have been retaliatory, but I had to look at, now I'm actually analyzing, so why was this so passionate here? What are some of the things that they experienced and that they felt attacked? And so I just kind of stayed very neutral in the situation, because I did not want to go into combat when I don't know what the actually core of the verbal that the person was saying. I don't know what the core, I don't know where it's coming from. Me, myself, personally, I was just saying, basically what I researched, and some people received it in a totally different manner. So you just have to make sure when you're writing, you make sure that you understand that you're writing to people, and you have to anticipate. And I was kind of glad that it came out, because now it made me a little bit more focus on not responding to certain situations, and making sure that I understand the context of the what's coming out to me in a negative way. So yes, I have really, really developed and grown a lot in how I respond to people. Because one of the things that you cannot control is a response to someone else. But the only one when you want to stay in control, you stay in control only by one thing, what you can control. And you do not try to go into combat in a situation with someone that you're never going to control, or get them to see something that they want to see. Because everyone has certain mindsets. And when they have those developed mindsets, then it's like a battle for who's going to be in control, when I'm never going to be able to control an individual. If I'm able to get someone to go, and I say, get up right now and go get me some water, they make a choice to go get me some water or not. I don't make them to get me water. They make a choice to go get the water. So you cannot, and I tell a lot of people, especially the ones that I mentor, that's in, there's managers and VPs and things of that nature, you don't control anyone. Even on the job, and I'm writing a book, Bullies at the Helm, that's going to be out this year as well. You can be a bully if you want. You think you're bullying someone, because a bully is nothing but someone that wants to control someone else. But you don't control anyone. A person gives you permission for your behavior. Although the behavior is ineffective, that person gives you permission. So that person responds because they have come to the realization where if I say something, I can be fired. So they won't say anything. And so you think you're in control, and you're not. And I've been in certain leadership roles, and we like that what we call control. And I walk up and everybody rushing and getting in their positions and things of that nature. They're doing that so they don't lose their job. I can control anything. So we have to learn how to balance ourselves and know that no one can control you. So while you being combative, when the confrontation gets physical, you've lost the battle. Why you've lost the battle? Because you can't control someone else. Now, the conversation has to be gentle in a manner that you both can see a positive outcome. It's like negotiations. If your negotiation is effective when you both can walk away from the table and feel like you've gained something. If you are in a confrontation and you walk away and you still feel anger, then it was a wasted amount of time. And so that's one of the things that I can say that I don't do. I do not take my energy and put it into any situation that is negative. It has to be positive. And then I can leave there, walk away and feel confident within myself. Now, do I have some challenges that occurs during the day? Yes, because I can't control people, like I just said. But I can control me, and so it bounces off, and it does not, It does not cause a scar. Scars are caused in adulthood by your retaliation of something you can't control. Anything else? Okay, pour your questions in. It's about 3:49, so we got 11 more minutes. Okay, and until I get another question, please ask your questions. We got a few more minutes. Until I can get some more questions, I will say this. I would say that this book right here, Childhood Scars, it healed me. Now, you're going to have some challenges in life. That's part of life. God actually told us in this world we're going to have trials and tribulations. He said, be of good cheer. Now, right in this intimate walk with God, I understand what he said by be of good cheer. You know why be of good cheer? Because now he overcame the world. How did he overcome the world? By staying in control. As long as I stay in control, I win. The minute I give up control is I start battling. When I start battling, I lose control and I give it up. I'm no longer in control. And so stay in control. This book helped me so much. Especially from release from mental in prison, that chapter I go back and go, I wrote that. Then I have to give God credit. No, you didn't. Because I had been in a mental prison that I could have walked out at any time, but I chose to stay there. What is a mental in prison? When you have all these scars in your mind that's replaying and replaying and replaying and replaying. And guess what? These are way back in 60 years ago. And you still replaying that? And I had to get to the point where I said, you know what? Enough is enough. Girl, get it together. You're not the only person that's going to have challenges. In this world, we will have trials and tribulations. But if you do the right thing, you're going to attract the right responses and the right behaviors and the right people. And walk away from people that keeps you all tied up in a knot. Let those relationships go. And you're going to find yourself healed. So both of the books together, and I really encourage these books to be part of a group process, especially when I say group, family or close friends that have a lot of trauma. And going through this book, I can't guarantee you, because that's not something I can get. I can tell you one thing. I can guarantee that it's going to help you. I can guarantee you that it's going to be some chapters in this book that you're going to really resonate with and really look at life totally different. I look at life, I'm more happier now. I'm retired. I mean, you know what? My mother and a lot of my family members didn't live to see 60 and and older, and so therefore they and here I am able to see this life and enjoy the relationship that I have with myself. So I encourage you today to get this book, Childhood Scars, Release from Pain to Healing, this book and the workbook. Again, I want to reiterate, you can get the book two ways. You can get the book from Amazon.com. You can get the book by Cash App and me at $ Sandra, Sandra G Robertson, Robertson on the Cash App. But before you Cash App me, email me because I'm going to need your address. And my email address is sanrob3@verizon.net. That's SANROB, the number 3@verizon.net. And put your address in there, and I will send it out to you immediately. We do have the books in stock. We have the books in stock, so I can mail them out to you ASAP. And so now if I get about 100 people today, then I might have to put you on hold a little bit and do an order on Amazon and try to get them as soon as possible. But right now I do have them in stock, so first come, first serve, and then some people may have to wait a little bit if we sell out. But this book here has really been very, very been a good sale with the groups, because I have a lot of family members that have gone through a lot of abuse, and they are trying to break the generational scars. And they are buying both of the books together and doing the workbook, and they just love it. And so again, here's the Childhood Scars book. At 5 o'clock, we're going to discuss the next books, and this is the relationship. And please come back. This relationship is going to debunk all of those old mindsets. We have to get better with these relationships. It's too many. I want to just tell you this real quick. We have only 20% of men marrying women. That's 80% of men are not married. Why is that? Tune with me at 5 o'clock and you're going to find out why. Tune with me at 5 o'clock. If you're single, even if you're married and you're having some challenges, this book is going to help you. So sign back on at 5 o'clock and we'll talk about the relationship. Any other questions on the childhood scars? Please post your questions. Okay.
Natalia Smith says, is there an easier way to deal with grief?
Grief is something that, and let me tell you something that I found, and I'm not going to speak on me. Grief deals with you and your loss of the connection with that person. And one of the things that we come into relationships, being a mother, father, sister, brother, whatever, grandmother, grandfather, is that we attach to those people because we feel good. They make us feel good about ourselves, taking care of whatever. And we don't want to release that. So we internalize it. When we are born to die. And this is what God had to tell me. I just lost my sister in August. I just lost my sister in August. So,
She just lost her sister a few days ago.
Oh, really? Okay. I just lost my sister in August. So if I get a little tear out of it, just overlook me a little bit. And just every day she sent me an affirmation. Every single day she sent me an affirmation. And I miss those affirmations because it really, really, really just helped me look at life from a totally different perspective. But more so that I knew she was thinking of those things and she thought of me. So it's been hard, it's been challenging to lose a sister that's younger than me. And I'm still living. But everyone, we have an appointed time to leave this earth. And I tell my son that on a regular basis. We have an appointed time to leave. One day I'm going to be gone. But I want to leave, I want my son to remember the good times, but I want him to move on and to live on. But now, grieving process, it doesn't have a time limit, but it has a time detachment. You have to detach and look at it from a totally different perspective. I was blessed to have this person in my life that affected my life so much that I really don't want to let her or him go. It's a very few people that have that connection. But God bless you with that person, and you had that connection. So now it's time that to use everything that that person impart into your spirit on someone else. So how you feel about your sister today, let someone else feel the same way. So the love that she showed you, show someone else the same love. And as you start focusing on using that love and to pour into someone else, you're going to start healing. That's what I had to do. Took me a while. I'm not going to say I'm totally recovered, because I'm not. I don't think I ever will recover, but I will be able, each day is getting better because I try to love and pass on. You know, I send affirmations out now. She laughed a lot. I find myself laughing a whole lot. You know, we talked on the phone. And so just do some things that you're missing today from her. You may say, I'm just missing a present. No, it's something that y'all connected to that you're grieving. So go inward and think about that. And as you come to that, affirmations was for me every single day. Then what I do is I send it to other friends, to other people, and keep her legacy going. Keep her legacy going by doing something that is impactful that she left to you. And I think you'll start seeing the grieving process diminish. Now, is it going to be overnight? No. You're not going to. The other day, I was just in my room. I was making my bed, and I just started laughing about something that she said, and I just started laughing. That, guess what? That she left so much joy in my life. And so when I picked my granddaughter up from school, I just was just in a good mood, and we just started laughing. So pass that on to someone else, and I think you'll start feeling better day by day. No one can tell you, and some people say, oh, you're grieving too long. No one can tell you that. But it's something that was impactful, that she impacted in your life. I'm going to suggest that you use that and pass it on to someone else. And then as you start passing it on to someone else, you're leaving her legacy, and you'll start healing in the process. Anything else? Okay, it's been, it's 3:59. It's been such a joy. I am going to be discussing different topics in the book, and I'm going to have the third Saturday of every month. Join me Facebook Live as we discuss childhood scars, release from pain to healing, and then we're going to be discussing the relationship book. I want to go through some of the chapters, so get the book so you can ask me some questions per chapter. So I'm going to be going through some of the chapters in the book. You send me an email. Again, sandrob3@verizon.net. It's on my business card, and I have a posting. Go to my page, and you'll see where I have on my business card my email address. And just tell me some things that you want me to discuss on the Facebook Live, and I will do that. It's been a joy. It's been a pleasure. I hate to leave, but I have to prepare for the next session that starts at 5 o'clock. So if you want to join me at 5 o'clock, we're going to be talking about the relationship book, just a step away from the perfect one. Have a good day.